All right, let's get into this. For a long, long time, humanity was kind of the new kid on the galactic block. Just trying to learn the ropes, find our place among these ancient, super powerful civilizations. Well, this is the story of the moment all of that changed, when one single horrific event out in the black forced humanity to decide not just who they were, but who they had to be.
This right here, this single sentence from Earth's President Mbeki is the spark that lights a galactic fire. Before we even get to the starships and the battles, this quote just lays it all out. It's the core question of this entire story. What is the price of a conscience? And is it a price humanity's actually willing to pay?
And that kicks off Act 1, the catalyst. It all starts not with some big explosion, but with a really, really boring patrol on the edge of nowhere. Just one human scout ship stumbling onto a crime so awful that the rest of the galaxy had just decided to look the other way.
So picture this. Lieutenant Rodriguez thinks she's just checking out a sensor glitch. No big deal. Instead, she finds the Vax Cori, a big expansionist empire surrounding a tiny science outpost. The Tellarans, they're a peaceful species, they surrender immediately. And then, Rodriguez's camera records the unthinkable. The Vax Cori warriors just execute them. All of them. Unarmed scientists, even the young ones. Acting on pure instinct, she does something crazy. She dives her little ship into the middle of it all, creating just enough chaos for a few Tellarans to escape before she bolts, her ship getting torn to shreds. But her databanks, they've got the whole thing, the unedited truth.
So what does humanity do? Well, exactly what you'd think they do. They take Rodriguez's crystal clear footage, this is undeniable proof of a war crime, straight to the Galactic Confederation, which is basically the UN of the galaxy. They're expecting sanctions, justice, they're expecting the system to actually work.
But the Vax Cori's response is just chilling. Their diplomat basically stands up and says, yeah, we did it. So what? Their whole philosophy is that the strong get to do whatever they want, and the weak, well, the weak need to get out of the way. It's not an apology, it's a statement. You'd think that would be shocking, but the Confederacy's reaction is somehow even worse. The arbiter, the head judge, he just waves it off as a local dispute. He calls the accusation of genocide, and I quote, dramatic terminology. And that's when the humans realize the awful truth. The Confederacy isn't there to keep the peace. It's there to keep things quiet. And that's the horrifying revelation, right? The real enemy isn't just the Vax Cori. It's the silence. It's an entire galaxy of powerful races who have all quietly agreed that it's just easier to let the predators hunt than to risk upsetting the order of things. And in that moment, humanity is completely and utterly alone. So this brings us right to Act 2, the choice. The rest of the galaxy is turning a blind eye, and humanity is backed into a corner. They now have to make a choice that is going to define everything about them for centuries. And here's the dilemma, plain and simple. On one hand, you have the strategic reality. It's a nightmare. The Vax Cori are an ancient empire. Their ships are centuries ahead of ours. Going to war with them is suicide. But then, on the other hand, there's the moral cost. Humanity has seen this movie before, right here on Earth. We know exactly what happens when good people decide something is not their problem. To do nothing is to be complicit. And in that moment, a phrase echoes up from the darkest parts of human history. Never again. That's it. That becomes the rallying cry. From Mars to the furthest outpost, humanity makes a choice. They decide that some things are worth dying for. They will not stand by. But how do you fight a giant? Well, this is where Commander Jackson Quinn comes in. He knows a straight-up fight is a death sentence, so he comes up with a plan. The Vax Cori are arrogant, they're predictable, and humanity has some experimental tech they won't see coming. But here's the key, the real genius of it. Quinn realizes this isn't a war you win in space. It's a war for the soul of the galaxy. And that leads us to Act 3, the consequence. Humanity has made its choice. The fleet is ready, and they are about to kick the hornet's nest and find out what happens when the new kid on the block refuses to stay in their place. The war starts with a daring, successful rescue mission. But the Vaxcori hit back, and they hit back hard. They invade human colonies, inflicting brutal losses. And to make it all worse, the Confederacy officially condemns humanity. They call us the aggressors. So now we're pushed to the brink. Our colony, New Horizon, is about to be wiped off the map, and we are about to lose everything. Commander Quinn looks at the impossible odds. He sees that massive Vaxcori fleet moving in to wipe out an entire human world, and he comes to a realization. This war was never going to be won with torpedoes.
It was going to be won with the truth. So they play their real hand, Operation Spotlight. They bypass all the official channels, all the governments, and they just broadcast the truth. Lieutenant Rodriguez's raw, unedited footage of the massacre, they send it to the civilian networks of every species in the galaxy.
And the effect? Wow. It's like a shockwave. The silent majority is suddenly not so silent anymore. Protests erupt on hundreds of worlds. Other species who'd been too scared to speak up for centuries start leaking their own evidence of Vaxcori crimes. Suddenly, secret aid, advanced tech, even warships start showing up to help the human cause. A brand new coalition is born, with humanity right at the center.
This chart says it all, doesn't it? The Vaxcori Armada shows up in New Horizon expecting to crush a tiny fleet of 29 human ships, but what they find waiting for them is a revolutionary army of over 100 warships from a dozen different species, all there for the same reason. The trap wasn't for humanity, it was for them.
The result? The entire galactic order is turned upside down. The Vaxcori Empire? Shattered. Their leaders are put on trial. The Galactic Confederacy? Their authority is broken, they're revealed as totally irrelevant. And humanity, the isolated newcomer, suddenly finds itself leading a new alliance. One built not on power, but on principle.
When he's facing the captured Vaxcori commander, Jackson Quinn just lays out the ultimate moral of the story. He says that real strength was never about having the biggest guns. Any coward can kill someone who can't fight back. The true test of power, of a civilization's worth, is having the will to protect those who can't protect themselves. And that leaves us with this final question, doesn't it? The Vaxcori believed the weak should just get out of the way. The Confederacy believed quiet stability was worth any price. Humanity bet its own survival on the idea that they were both wrong. So it really makes you ask, when we're faced with an injustice that seems too big to fight, what's the real cost? Not of taking action, but of just looking away.